And we are live.
Awesome.
I'll just wait till the notifications start coming in.
Okay.
And if you can join us anywhere, please start leaving comments. Let's know you can hear us, you can see us, and that you're in. Also, let us know where you're joining us from. My guest today is Dami Ben-Omotehinse, and she's going to be sharing with us her experience transitioning into legal tech. So that's what we're talking about today. So if you're a lawyer or you're someone who has, experience in law and legal practice, or, you're someone in the technology space and you're curious as to how you can leverage the skills you already have, to get into these roles, please, send in your questions if you haven't already. Hi, Brian. Hi, Brian from Toronto. Hi, Rajesh. Welcome. Thank you for joining us. Okay, we're live on LinkedIn. Just going to check Facebook as well. Okay, right, live on Facebook as well, live on LinkedIn. Well, hello everyone. Thanks for joining us from Toronto. Thank you so much. All right, let's get started. So we have Dami here. Dami is based in Calgary, and she's a lawyer with over 10 years of experience in corporate finance, legal practice, and project management and technology. And she's going to be sharing with us, her journey and her experience. And before we even went live, we're already talking about it, about how your skills are transferable, regardless of where you've worked, what you've done, and how she's been able to do this as well. So Dami, welcome. I'd like you to introduce yourself to us, tell us a little bit about you.
Okay, thank you, Anna, for having me. As Anna mentioned, my name is Dami, and I have a background in corporate law practice. And I practiced law for close to 10 years in Nigeria before I immigrated to Canada, and I currently live in Calgary. And my background included a variation of things. I worked in one of the largest law firms in Africa, and that kind of positioned me better when I was moving. Now, one of the things Anna and I were chatting about just before we started was sometimes for people like us who are from, regulated professions, immigrating can be interesting because you've always, for example, I know some people who are lawyers but have never practiced law. But if you're a lawyer and you've always practiced law, sometimes you tend to box yourself, into that. And you come into a space where you feel, okay, I've always practiced as a lawyer. What do? I need to start running to qualify locally. Now, the thing is, in any profession you're in, you need to realize that you have transferable skills. And that's one thing I think is very important. And I think it comes from a mindset shift. Because many times we have this, one size
one thing
approach, or, this kind of tunnel vision.
Yeah.
When we should actually have a broader mindset, look at other options and alternatives. And one thing I'll say was an advantage for me was I was able to leverage my existing skill set, leverage my skills and experience, and do the analysis, which I think is something everyone really has to do. You need to do the analysis of, okay, what have I done for the past XYZ number of years? What are those skills which I have obtained, which I have deployed in that set of years, and how can I transfer it to a new field, to a new area of practice? So yeah, that's a bit of a background. I was able to analyze what my skills were as a lawyer, which were useful to other areas. And in particular, looking at the future, I was able to realize that, okay, technology, and in particular, legal technology, was something I should be looking at. And when I found a fantastic opportunity that met my skill set, it was, a great time to make the move while looking into the future.
Okay, awesome. So give us to give us a lot more in-depth into your career journey. So you had over 10 years of experience spanning across several domains, and several countries as well. So give us a background into your career journey. Let's see what you've done so far in your career.
Fantastic. So I started out working as a lawyer in a corporate law firm, and that's interesting in its own. But part of what I did to start was corporate law. So corporate law has to do with business establishment, has to do with filings, IP, and things like that. And I also did some work in knowledge management because of the firm I was working in. Part of my journey also included project finance. That was kind of like the next thing I did a bit of. So doing contract documentation, doing project documentation for project and corporate finance as well. In addition to that, I also at some point worked in-house in an investment authority. And some of the work I did there had to do with a lot of negotiation, contract drafting for, large projects and investments. Now, the bridge for me into tech was actually something that started out as a short-term role. And in saying this, one thing I'd like to say is it's very important to be open-minded in terms of opportunities and not make assumptions as to what you can get out of things. I say this because the leverage for me into the role I'm currently in, the bridge for me started out as a 2-week temp tech role. Yeah, and it was the skills and experience I got from that and working with new tech in that role that was the selling point for me when I was interviewing for my current role.
Wow.
And it literally started out as a 2-week temp role, even though it grew into something longer. But yeah, that was the bridge for me into where I am now. And so that was a role in a post-secondary institution. And from there, I now work in a law firm, but in a knowledge management role where I deploy technology and deploy my skills from legal practice into developing solutions. So for example, I do some contract automation, I do some contract management, leverage on different existing tech skills to provide solutions to clients and people in the firm.
Wow. So basically you're saying you got an opportunity for a temp role, a 2-week temp role, which was in tech. And you took that opportunity. It was a temporary role. A lot of people would have said it's a 2-week temporary opportunity. What am I going to gain by 2 weeks? I mean, it's not even a full month or 3 months.
Yeah.
And who knows? I don't know if it was paid, or even if it was paid, maybe it wasn't the best pay. But that experience of 2 weeks is what has brought you to into practicing this full time.
Exactly.
All right. So this is interesting. So now you're now in legal tech. So tell us a little bit more about legal tech in itself. Someone asked the question. Someone said, "What is legal tech?" That was the question somebody said. The person didn't really understand how we could have legal and technology, together. Like, how does that work?
So I think the easiest way to put it is legal tech is anything that helps lawyers do their work faster, more efficiently, anything that leverages on technology, and that is broad. Anything that leverages on technology to make legal work more accessible. So there are a lot of examples. So for example, there's corporate legal practice, there's litigation. So there's legal tech that focuses on these two broad aspects. So you can have legal tech that helps you manage there's legal project management. It helps you manage your legal projects from start to finish. So anyone who's listening who has worked on project closes, for example, where you have documents of 300 pages, 500 pages, you have tens, sometimes hundreds of documents you need to review, you need to sign, you need to collate, you need to prepare closing documents. There's legal tech that helps streamline that process of closing, helps you track who has done what, who has signed what parties, are we waiting for things from, in order to help our closing be more seamless. There's legal tech that helps you analyze judicial decisions, Helps you look at, okay, how does this judge typically decide these kinds of matters, which helps you in your legal research, which helps you when you're drafting briefs. There's legal tech, which helps you analyze contracts.
Wow.
There's legal tech, which helps you automate the process of drafting contracts. And this is just the tip. There's legal tech I don't even work with because I'm in corporate. Yeah. Litigation is interesting, but there's a lot of aspects to legal tech, and so it helps to streamline legal work.
Yeah.
And helps you provide service to clients in a more efficient way, sometimes in a more cost-effective way. And we all know clients are becoming more and more conscious of costs. So these are some of the things that legal tech can help us, leverage. Sometimes it's just document management. It helps us, helps anyone who's a lawyer listening, and even if you're not a lawyer, you do document or process documentation. You know how you're drafting something, you need to draft. I'll give an example that's more relevant for me. You need to draft a 400-page contract.
Yeah.
You don't start from scratch. At the back of your mind that, someone must have done this before at this firm. You start sending emails. Have you drafted this sort of agreement before? But no, you should be able to harness the work that other people have done. You should be able to harness the existing knowledge within the organization and make it accessible to people. That's a way of creating efficiency. No one has to start from scratch. Everyone knows, okay, there's this, we're just building on it. There's no need to reinvent the wheel when there's already process, there's already things that have been done before. So legal tech helps you make your work easier and more efficient, but also helps you leverage on existing technology and existing knowledge. So I think that's putting it in a nutshell.
Wow. So what you basically do is you're looking at the whole legal, I don't know, is it
practice? You're looking at the business of law.
The business of law in itself, and seeing how can we improve our business processes, contract management, automating our contracts, improving our processes, analyzing the whole framework in itself, and saying how we make things a lot seamless, automate things.
Yeah,
basically. Wow.
So those are different. Those are different little buckets.
Yeah. Wow. So how does knowledge management come into this? How does knowledge management come into legal technology?
So legal technology is actually a part of knowledge management.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah. So knowledge management is making sure systems are in place, but it's also about ensuring that the knowledge that exists within a system is made available, is utilized properly and made available to other people who need to leverage on it.
Wow, interesting. So can any lawyer do this? Can anyone who studied law, any legal professional, can they really do this role? Or you need to have some special skills to actually do this role?
So you've said something very interesting. Can anyone do this? The reason I'll say anyone can is because most of us have transferable skills. So it goes back to analyzing what you've done. To be able to work in tech, you need to have analytical skills.
Exactly.
Right? For a lawyer, whether you work as a litigator or you work in corporate, I'd say you work with facts, you work with contracts, you analyze, you prepare briefs, you look at laws, you distill those things, you analyze, and you produce an outcome. That is analytical. And why is this necessary? You need to look at the available tech. As I said, there's a lot of buckets, but you need to be able to look at the available tech and look at what works best. And there's value in that. So that's why I'll say anyone can. So that's just an example of a relevant skills. As a lawyer, corporate or litigation, you problem solve every day. You solve problems. Your client brings you a case or someone has a contract they need to draft. You analyze the facts. You look at what they've told you. You identify gaps. You look at the logic. You identify gaps and then you provide a solution. You tell your clients, okay, this is the way to go. We need to go to court, or no, we need to draft this sort of contract. That is a skill, which is relevant in tech. So I think which I'll say it goes back to analyzing what it is you've done and how this can be translated. So yeah.
Wow. So really, anyone can do this. Anyone can do this as long as you have the transferable skills. You have analytical skills, problem-solving skills, good interpersonal skills as well, because you're going to have to leverage knowledge of everyone, in the organization to actually help you to do this. Wow, this is interesting. This
Talking
is
about
interesting.
interpersonal skills, one reason it is extremely important is because working in legal tech means you work with not just people within the firm. So you work with your team, you work with other lawyers, you work with vendors as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so that's why it's really important. But most lawyers do have interpersonal skills because they were working with clients. You worked with
Yeah.
clients, you worked with
Yeah.
your clients' lawyers, you worked with your clients' other advisors. So how do
Yeah.
you demonstrate that you have interpersonal skills and strong ones as strong interpersonal set of skills as well?
Yeah. So, as a foreign trained lawyer, moving to a new country and trying to get into legal practice again, when you were trying to move into this new space, what were like the key things that that helped you to? I know getting that temp job was very key for you. What are
Mhm.
some other key things that were helpful for you to move into this role, in legal tech, being that you've always been in corporate law? What were the key things?
I think one very important thing is a mindset shift.
The mindset
And
shift.
it's kind of building on what I said earlier,
Yeah.
having a very open mindset. And I say this because, especially being a lawyer, there are certain professions where you tend to build your identity around the work you do.
Yeah.
When that work is taken away from you, you kind of feel like, okay, what's left?
Yes.
So for me, that identity crisis happened, and it was a mindset set shift and leveraging on support that helped me move away from where I was to the
Yeah.
position where I was able to leverage on available opportunities. Now,
Yeah.
mindset shift, I think, goes back to identifying not just your skills, which you've gained from your experience, but also your innate strengths.
Mm,
And I think that's something that sometimes we overlook. It's like, okay, what can I do? But what do I do well? For me, I was
yes.
able to identify what my natural skills were, and what my natural strengths were, leverage on it, and that helped me resolve that identity crisis. And in resolving the identity crisis, I was able to leverage on other people who had gone ahead of me.
Mm,
That support, I think, especially when you're an immigrant, is critical
yeah.
because you're in a new country. There's it's a whole new culture, it's a whole new world. So
Exactly.
building your mindset, strengthening your confidence by leveraging on available resources, available support structures that exist. That was really important for me. And I'll go
Mm.
back to analyzing your skill set.
Analyzing your skill set. So
Analyzing.
two things you've said that have really, three things in fact that resonated with me is, first, the mindset. The mindset shift is so key. Some people are so streamlined. I've been in banking, I've always been in the court of law, for the past 10 years. I've always been in oil and gas. This is the only thing I've done. I can't think of doing anything else.
Mhm.
Right. So that mindset shift is so key. And then when you have that mindset shift, you're able to say, okay, look at yourself, do like a SWOT analysis. What are my strengths? What are my weaknesses? What are the opportunities for me based on my strengths? What are the threats based on my weaknesses? How can I leverage these things? Really is what you can do and say, okay, I have transferable skills. I can use the skills to move into, XYZ, right? Instead of waiting and praying and hoping, to get back into, yeah, because basically that's it. And then of course your skill set, like you said, and then leveraging the community you have, the people around you, seeking
Mhm.
advice, getting help, and getting the support, very important. So for foreign lawyer, so a foreign lawyer that's moving to like Canada, and this person has always, maybe the person has always just been in the in the court setting, what are some other opportunities? Because I remember speaking with a lawyer 3 weeks ago, live as well. And she was sharing so many other things that, she's now actually in due diligence. That's what she does now in compliance. And, what are some other opportunities that you found that, lawyers, can also leverage, when it comes to their transferable skills?
Okay, that's a very good point. That's a great question.
Yeah.
There's opportunities in lots of places. So something you can look into is legal support. You mentioned compliance. Compliance is something lawyers can leverage on their skills and do. Another thing is document review.
Mm,
Another thing is document management. Another thing is process documentation.
yeah.
So, there's loads of area. Tech is one, but there's loads of areas you can look into. And I think those are a few. You can look into, practice management, for example.
Wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
because being a lawyer, many people may have run or may not have run their own firms, but you're
Yeah.
familiar with the way law firms work. You're familiar with the business of law. You're
Yeah.
familiar with what it takes to run a successful practice. So
Yeah.
that's something you can leverage on. Smaller firms, we need a practice manager. So that's
Wow.
the area people don't sometimes look into. Document automation. If you are good in drafting contracts, you can build relevant skills and do contract automation. So those are some things you can leverage on.
When people hear automation, they think, oh, do I need to have like some technical skills to be able to do automation? When they hear automation, it kind of scares them. So what about, how does document automation work? Because you've talked about automation a lot of times, contract automation, document automation. How does that really work?
Okay, that's a great question. And the first thing I'll answer is, do you need a lot of technical skills? I think one thing you need to survive in today's world is being teachable or being, adaptable and flexible.
Yeah.
And, if you look at the past 5, 10 years, all of us have learned new skills, right? All
Yeah.
of us have learned new skills in one way or the other. So
Yeah.
I think what you need is not certain technical skills. The most important skill you need is the teachability and flexibility to learn whatever appears, if you get what I mean. So you need
Yes.
to have those skills to be able to do new things. So now that
Yeah.
you ask about document automation, it's really about being able to provide a set of questions that people can ask. And then, so I'll give an example. If you wanted to draft, what document is relevant for you?
Um,
What do you have to put together often?
okay. So something I put together often is say like, the process, like a process flow, for example.
Okay.
Right. The process flow. Yeah.
So if you needed to do a process flow or if you
Yeah.
needed to do some process documentation,
Yeah.
automation would provide you a set of questions. And
Mm,
if you provided answers to those questions, it would actually give you an end result as the process. The end result will be the process.
got it. Okay. Okay. I see. So you basically map this out. You map this out, and
Back
then
end.
and then it's built in the back end. This is very
Yeah.
interesting. This is very interesting. So literally anybody can do this. You don't even have to be a lawyer to actually work on document automation or even
No,
to do legal tech in itself.
not necessarily, no. But it's useful to have those skills, and which is
Yeah.
why I say it's an available option for trained lawyers because you already know how the business of law works. You
Work.
have the insights from working in law, but you
Law.
don't necessarily have to be a lawyer. That is correct.
Awesome. So basically just understanding the domain of law in itself. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Interesting. So tell me why, in the world of tech today, why are legal professionals, why are they relevant in the world of tech? When you say legal technology and people are like, what do we need lawyers for? We have developers and software engineers to do all this. And then we have, business analysts and project managers, they'll handle everything. So where does the place of the lawyer come in today in the world of technology, digital transformation? Where does the role of the lawyer come in, the legal part of things?
I think you can't take away the fact that law is a business.
Yeah,
And as a business, there are structures and processes that make that business work.
yeah,
And that is why, being a lawyer makes you relevant in tech if you plug into providing those tech services to the law business. So as a
yeah,
business analyst, you could provide services to a law firm, but someone who has insights and transferable skills from practicing law is a great fit because one, they understand the business of law, they have transferable skills gained from practicing law, they have the personality fit gain
yeah,
law because the That's something. And another thing that's very relevant is that technology has impacted most aspects of life. Look at us over the past 4 or 5 months. Everyone has had to leverage on technology in one way or
Exactly.
the other. So
Exactly.
tech is really the future, and law is
It
no
is.
exception. And being a
Wow.
lawyer, there's every reason to plug into that as opposed to feeling, oh no, we've always done things a certain way. Law is moving away from that and is being more innovative and more disruptive. And people are changing, people are adapting technology to make the practice of law more accessible. We've done things a certain way.
Oh,
Law
my
is
bad.
moving.
My bad. Sorry, I was trying to check Facebook. So, when you're trying to change things, like for a lawyer right now, a lawyer like you who is into technology, my next question would have been, what challenges have you encountered with the fact that people are used to doing things a certain way, right? We're used to carrying out our contracts, our legal documentation this way. This is how we've always done it, right? How are you coming in as, the change agent saying, oh, we're going to implement technology into our law practice in itself? How are you able to manage that change? How are you able to manage that change?
Yeah, I am laughing because that was a large question at my interview for my current role. Because lawyers are very, very averse to change. People are averse to change, but I think more so lawyers, we are more comfortable with doing things the way we've always done it. And I think the bridge between, being the agent of transformation for change is, this is interesting, but it is actually about developing relationships.
Oh, okay.
I say this because if you've always done something a certain way, the only way I can convince you to change your methods is to develop a relationship with you.
Yeah.
By developing that relationship, that I can demonstrate to you what exists that makes what you've done better. But I need to be able to build that trust that shows you that I understand what you do. I understand why you do it the way you do. But I have gone further to identify ways that makes you do it better. And then that's the only way I can, help you explore the new options. So I think relationship building is the critical, connector between
Yeah.
helping people embrace transformation or change.
Wow. So, when you build relationships with people and you're able to, gain their trust, that also helps you with working with these stakeholders that you're going to be working with to implement this change. So knowledge management as an umbrella, right? So legal technology is a subset of knowledge management, like you said. So what are the other subsets of knowledge management, in itself, since that's like the umbrella
Legal technology is an aspect.
and aspect?
Document management is another aspect.
Okay.
Yeah. Developing precedents. So I'll say this in the context of a law firm. Developing precedents that people can assess is another aspect. So those are some
Okay.
buckets that you look into when you're talking about the umbrella of knowledge management.
Okay. Awesome. So, when it comes to the law in itself, I like what you said. You said the law in itself is a business, and we need to recognize that law is a business. And if every business, around us, whether it's the healthcare business in itself, or tourism, or healthcare, or finance, they're all businesses, and all businesses are embracing technology, and all businesses are improving their processes. Then why not the law system in itself, the law practice in itself?
Exactly.
So is this like something that it's globally known as a field in itself right now, or is it emerging, or something that's already there? Because for a lot of people in countries in Africa, it's not really a thing. Speaking about legal technology, they're used to the basic, either you're in litigation, or you work in corporate law. So is this emerging, or is something that, or it's a first world thing, like with legal technology?
Okay, that's a great question. In terms of how it is in the world, it's actually a multi-billion-dollar industry. Legal
Oh
tech
wow.
is a multi-billion-dollar industry.
Wow.
because law firms are businesses that run in the hundreds of billions of dollars globally. Now,
Yeah.
in terms of Africa, I think it depends on the size and structure of law firm. So the larger law firms do leverage on legal technology, not to the same degree as you have in the first world, but the law firms in Africa do leverage. I mean, the law firm I worked on leveraged in a lot of legal technology for practice management, for, data and document management, helping people access tools easily, helping people access and manage even things like their review, appraisal processes. So
Mm,
there's e-billing also.
yeah.
There's leverage on different sorts of technology, but not to the same degree as it is globally. But
Yeah.
law firms in Africa definitely leverage on technology in
Yeah.
ways.
Okay. So, I'm a lawyer and, I'm looking to move. I'm a lawyer and I love innovation and technology. And I'm looking to move, from practicing the regular, corporate law into, document management or legal tech, in itself. What are some tips and strategies that you would give me, as that lawyer, that young lawyer that is looking to make this transition? What are some key, tips and strategies or resources that they can leverage to make this move?
Okay, one thing I'll say is, especially looking at the process from the job hunt process, from your resume to your
Yeah,
interview.
yeah.
Do the analysis of moving away from experience or task-based communication to skill-based communication. The
Okay,
problem with practicing as a lawyer is that I'll say the problem is that many times we do tasks.
okay.
It's about identifying what those tasks are and making sure you are communicating at every point, at every step of the process, your value proposition.
Awesome.
Your value proposition is the only thing you have. And it's
Awesome.
about analyzing, once again, I'm probably sounding like a broken record, analyze strengths and skills, break it down into a way that the company you're looking at moving into is
Yeah,
going to find as an asset, leverage it and, have a clear picture of your value proposition and
yeah.
be able to communicate that at every stage of the process. The second thing I'll say is really important is being flexible and adaptable. Sometimes we look at job titles, and I think it's very important to identify that your job title is your role is bigger than your job title. Sometimes you look at a job title and you're like, no, 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 no.
Yeah. This
I
is complex. This is not me. No, I can't
No.
do this.
But rather identify what you can gain and what you can deploy in
Yeah.
that role. Because I'll use myself as an example. My role right now is probably, I'll say maybe half of what my role is right now is what I was employed to do. The other
Mm,
half is what I am, is about the skills that I have and how I'm able to deploy those to new projects and tasks.
yeah.
So, have a very adaptable and flexible outlook. Look at different options. Don't just do search for legal jobs.
Yeah,
A
exactly.
very flexible approach. Be adaptable to, how you can deploy your skills and experience. Be adaptable to what jobs you can take. The sky, like, there's actually a world of endless possibilities for lawyers if you are willing to look at it.
Yeah, this is so true. Like what you said, from your resume to the interview, your value proposition. Are you communicating your value? Let's look beyond the big job titles. For me, I'm not a fan of the job title. When I see a job ad, I look through the job description in itself. I dissect everything. Okay, what are the must-haves? What are the nice-to-haves? What are the core skills? What are the core competences? What are the hard and the soft skills? Okay, now from my experience and my skills, where do I fit in? If I can fit into a couple of things here, I'm going to take that bet on myself and apply for that role, right?
Okay.
Because it's really about taking that chance on yourself and not disqualifying yourself from the get-go. And something very important you said was about your resume, not having a task-based resume. this is so key. I keep, it's like you said, you sound like a broken record when you're saying this thing over and over. But the truth is, you want to make sure that on your resume, you're actually speaking to the value that you can offer. Let it be value based. So your value proposition is really who you are. I am Dami. This is my experience. This is what I've done. This is the value I can offer with regards to knowledge management and and legal technology. Than saying, "Oh, I'm Dami, the corporate finance lawyer." That's really not the case at that time, right? So people really need to understand that you're multifaceted in a way that you can do several things. You can't just do only one thing.
Very true.
Yeah, so like the lawyer I spoke with, she's based in the US, and she said after she passed her bar exams, moving to the US, she didn't get a job. She's like, okay, what can I do? What do I have in my hands right now? She's like, well, I have the law degree. I've passed the law exam. Okay, what can I use right now? And she went into contract management. So she started with contract management and then due diligence, and then now she's a senior manager, due diligence and risk management. And she's a lawyer. When I think about due diligence, risk management, I think about people who are accountants, right? Who have gone ahead to get some certifications in risk or compliance. But for a lawyer, and it made a lot of sense to me because they actually have your legal knowledge, is also a plus, for you.
Mm-hmm. And in fact, due diligence is actually a large part of the practice of law.
Yeah.
Due diligence is actually something lawyers tend to do quite a bit of. So yes, and there's also technology that helps you make your due diligence process.
Yeah. And so she works in the bank and in financial services basically. So she's not had to step feet into the courts, ever since she passed her bar exams, but she's having a fulfilling career, in that space.
And I think something you said about her that resonated with me. Sometimes we tend to be short-sighted.
Yeah.
Your career is a journey. It's a journey. So don't discountenance what you have or where you are as the be all and end all. It's a journey, and along that journey, you're gaining skills, you're building relationships, you're positioning yourself for something better. So I think many times there's this perspective of it's also about being short-sighted. You're looking at, no, this is what I want. Oh, I'm not there. What do I do? What is in your hands? Identify what is around you and how you can deploy what you have towards that journey.
Yeah.
Many of us, right, where we are now, we had no idea we'd be here 5-7 years ago. And even from where we are and we're working towards a plan, your plan may not be where you are in 20 years. It's about evolving and being open-minded and adaptable to opportunities, aligning yourself with available opportunities so that you can become the best you possible.
Wow. So true. So true. So I'm working in a law firm, and I'm that kind of person who likes to improve processes. I like to analyze things. I want to automate everything. And things have just been this way. I met them this way. And I want to, bring this thing, bring automation and leverage technology in my organization. How do you do that? What would be advice for someone who wants to start to sort of be the change maker in that organization? How should the person go about doing this?
I think that's actually a great question, because not everybody has a process improvement mindset.
Yeah.
And that's, for whoever that person is, that's a great skill. Sell it. But importantly, it goes back to building relationships and letting people understand where they're coming from.
Yeah.
So there's two approaches. You could potentially be seen as saying your existing process is rubbish, it doesn't work, we need to get rid of it. I mean, how many people would listen to you if you come at it with that perspective? But if you come at it from a perspective where you understand what the process is, you understand what the drivers are for that existing process, you let the process makers and the decision makers understand that their process, but you've looked at it and you see ways to build change. This is where your relationship comes in. If you come in and you have the perspective or the the communication that sells that the process doesn't work. And you're trying to tell people your process doesn't work, your process doesn't work. No one's going to listen to you.
Exactly.
You need to make it clear that you're a part of the process, you're a part of the system, you're looking for the best. And
Exactly.
that is what you're selling. You're selling improvement from an understanding of where the process makers are, an understanding of how their business works and what the value add to them is if they embrace change. So you need
Yeah.
to have that journey in your mind as the person who wants that process to change. You need to have that journey from where the organization is, where you want them to be, but being able to sell where you want them to be without making it look like what exists doesn't work.
Work, exactly.
Even
Like
though that's what it
what
is.
we have doesn't work,
Even though that's exactly what it is.
we're going to put it in the bin and we're going to come with this new wonderful thing. And you're like, really? But it's working, right? And you definitely don't want to have people, hating on you and saying, oh, who's this person that just
That
came?
is the risk you run. That's the risk you run, and that's what you don't want.
Exactly.
You don't want enemies as you build.
Exactly. Exactly. That's so interesting. So there's a question. Someone said, I'm a lawyer, I have experience, in law, but I've basically been, around the courts. Now, I'm stuck between going for a master's in law or an MBA. Right. This person wants to kind of move away from, litigation and all that. So she's asking, I'm stuck between, should I go for a master's, in law and probably maybe specialize in something, or do an MBA? She's trying to actually move away from, litigation in it, in the sense of that. So what would be your advice for, this person?
My advice would be analyze what she wants.
Yeah.
It's about what you really want. So you're moving away from litigation. What do you see yourself doing? So an MBA, if you have litigation skills, for example, if all your skills and experience are in litigation and you do an MBA, that doesn't change all the skills and experience you have. It's an additional certification. But my advice would be look for volunteering opportunities. Look for organizations where you can actually develop those skills you're looking for where you want to be. So do you want to move into corporate? Do you want to look at legal technology that has to still do with litigation if you still have an interest in litigation? Because there are legal tech tools that have to do with litigation. There are ways you can deploy your litigation skills. So,
Mm,
as I'm sure doing an LLM or an MBA doesn't fix.
mm,
It's an additional certification or, qualification, but
yeah.
it's still a skill or experience gap. It still has to be filled. So it's about looking for opportunities. It can be a temporal, it can be a volunteering opportunity, but look
Yeah.
for ways to fill the skill gap and
Yeah.
look for an additional certification.
Yeah. Okay, that's interesting. To find a way to fill that skill gap instead of going for additional certification, and of course analyzing yourself. Being true to yourself. What do I really want to do? Because what works for you may not work for her, right? So moving, as a foreign trained lawyer to another country, what are the, what advice would you give in regards to the right approaches? I know for every foreign trained lawyer, it's, the knowledge of, okay, I'm moving to this new country, I'm going to have to go through the licensing process and all that, which is relevant, right? Like we were talking about, but what other advice would you have for people, immigrant lawyers who know they're coming here and they're going to have to go through the same process of getting licensed, but aside that, they're also worried, what do I do throughout my licensing journey, that process? What advice do you have for lawyers who are about to move, or they're here and they're sort of in a state of confusion?
Okay, that's a good question. I think you cannot overemphasize the importance of support and building networks. There are so many,
Yeah.
networks for internationally trained lawyers right now because there are specific challenges we face. Just like, internationally trained medical practitioners, they have a different set of challenges. But I think it's important to leverage on existing support and structures and network with people who have gone ahead of you. Network with people who have done, if you know you want to do the licensing, a lot of people have done the licensing. They've done it in different ways. They've leveraged on, different things to get to where they are. So leverage on, there's no need to reinvent the wheel and act like, you're the first immigrant in the world to land in Canada. You're just going to give yourself some illnesses, which are not COVID. But, leverage on what exists. Also understand the culture, and it still goes back to leveraging on what exists. The Canadian work culture is so different, extremely different, and it goes little things as the way you communicate, the way you handle aggression. In some places, I'll say some places, some people are more aggressive even in their communication. You come to some places and you look so out of place,
Exactly.
There are just little things like that you need to identify, and having a network helps you identify and know those things ahead, right? I think it's about building a support structure that helps you, and support structure and network that allows you transition more easily. So I think in a nutshell, that's what the biggest advice I can give anyone who's immigrating.
Yeah. And in addition to that, also, the mindset should be ready to shift your mindset. Be open to be adaptable, be flexible, be open to, new things, learning new things. I've met lawyers who, they're not practicing law anymore. They're actually, in, legal space, lawyers like you. Some are even like, business analysts and project managers. And, they've just been able to adapt themselves, quickly into these roles. But something to note is that, the knowledge you have will be so key, because in a lot of projects, there's a lot of documents to analyze, there's processes to review. And because you're looking at it from the mindset of a lawyer and with the eyes of a lawyer, you're looking at the regulatory and compliance issues we may have. You're spotting these things that a typical technical person would not even identify. Same thing with someone who has a finance background like I do. Everything that I do, I'm thinking about the dollars and the cents, right? I'm doing an ROI on everything, cost benefit analysis. Do we need to do this right now? What's the cost of this? What's the payback period? When we invest this amount today, how much do we get, in the next 5 years? Implement this solution today, the implementation cost is X. However, the maintenance cost is way higher than the implementation cost. So we're looking at all these things. So I'm coming in with the knowledge of, the finance person, thinking about the numbers. You're coming in with the eyes of the lawyer, think about regulatory policies, and if there are penalties involved and all that, and the risk involved as well. And then we have the technical people looking at it from the solution, the back end, so when you come together in a team like that, that project would definitely be successful, because everybody is a subject matter expert in their own world. So someone's asking, are there courses yourself for this field? Are there courses that I can actually take a course to kind of increase my knowledge, right? Are there courses that I can take to get into the space?
To be honest, a lot of the learning is on the job.
Oh, okay.
This applies to a number of skills. So a number of areas. If you look at practice management, if you look at legal project management, a lot of the training is on the job. There are associations you can join to network with people, but a lot of the training is on job. And that's why I had said earlier, teachability, adaptability, and flexibility are essential. You can't do away with them. A lot of the training is on the job. So being able to leverage on people's knowledge as you're building on yours is critical, which is why you need great team skills to work in tech, as you know, or any form, form of area where you provide solutions. You need leverage on people. So a lot of things on the job, unfortunately.
And I tell people this, but they find it hard. People want to get all the skills before they get on, and that's really not how it works, because the truth is the way it works in company A is different from company B, right? And every project, every initiative has a different context, the people you work with, and then there's internal and external factors that affect your project too. So it's never the same. Every project is different, and you know this because working in legal technology, every project you've had to work on is totally different, and you learn new things on each project. So this is so key. You're going to learn more on the job, but what you have already can actually get you in, and you can actually start providing this value already to the business of law in itself.
Exactly. And you said something that's very important. Every company is different. Even if you look at law firms are different. The technology law firms use is different.
Yeah.
So, there's nothing you're likely to be able to download exactly as is from company A to company B. It still goes back to those soft and transferable skills, which you can deploy in moving and building on the existing knowledge you've gained from, company A, and being able to translate that to another entity. So I think that's something people don't like to accept is the truth.
Yeah.
But it is so true.
Yeah. So there's a question. So so practicing legal technology, can it only be in law firms? Can I only do this in law firms, or can I work in other organizations or other industries? Can it only be in the law firms in itself?
Oh no! Did you say legal technology? Can you ask that question
Yeah.
again, please?
So practicing legal technology, does it only have to be in a law firm in itself, or can I work in any company still using my legal technology or knowledge management skills? Is it relevant in other industries?
That's a very good question. Technology is applicable across industries, right? You can use it in any industry. You can use your tech skills across industries, across law firms, even within a tech company. So within the companies that develop the tech to deploy solutions. I mean, I know people who work within technology developers. I know lawyers who actually develop apps because they understand, problems and providing solutions. So no, it's not limited to law firms. It's much broader, and that has been my experience. So it's much broader.
So you're saying as a lawyer, you could use the skills you have to actually work in a technology company, a Google or a Microsoft.
You can work as or you can work as an in-house lawyer in any company.
Yes.
All companies have in-house lawyers. They have systems and processes. They need to provide service to their internal clients. So it's not limited to working in a law firm. A law firm is one drop.
One drop
in the large ocean.
In the large ocean. Fantastic.
The large ocean of opportunities.
I've learned so many things. I'm just amazed at the opportunities that are available to a lot of us, and I guess it's really just the awareness and the knowledge that this is available, and that's why I said I have to have you come speak to a lot of people who they're sort of confused and discouraged with the fact that they have to go through all this again, and I have to practice law, I have to do this. However, not knowing there are actually skills you have that you can leverage right now to get into back into the corporate world, and you don't even have to work in a law firm. You can work anywhere.
Exactly.
Right. Just believe in yourself, take a chance on yourself, have that mindset. So I'm going to share a couple of comments. Adeto, thank you for your comments. Adeto said, transferable skills, do not box yourself. Think of what skills you have acquired from school, work, interaction with others, and have your new place or position how your new place or position can benefit from that value add. Thank you so much, Adeto. She said the bridge can be a short-term or a long-term opportunity. Be open-minded while there. Make the best of the time. Embrace the learning. I tell people, I said, the funny thing is, where I gained the most skills that helped me so much in my career are in those, in those roles that were not the best paying, where you had to work long hours. It's not exactly the best kind of job. You didn't have the best pay or the best bonuses. You had to wear so many hats. But the truth is, you embrace the learning from that role, and you take that learning, you take that knowledge, that experience, and you move on to something better. So thank you so much for saying that, Adeto. And then she also said, evaluate yourself, be flexible, Don't be carried away by the job title. Look out for what you can gain or learn in that new role. Build a support structure that helps you transition successfully. Yes, Adito, you've been very attentive. Thank you so much. This is so, so true. Don't be carried away by the job title. Look at what you can deliver on that role. In the day and age we're in, it's less about what you study these days and about, the soft skills that you have, how you can, provide value. And that's what every employer is looking for.
Yep.
If I bring Dami in, what kind of value can she, provide to us? And you can communicate that value, like you said, through your resume and in your interview, communicate your value, to your prospective employers. Wow, it's been amazing. Lots of learning, with viewers from listening on LinkedIn, from Facebook, YouTube. Thank you so much. Really appreciate you and appreciate your questions that you sent in. So to round up, Dami, what would be, the last words or the advice you'd like to leave for people who are looking to, make this transition into legal tech? Because apparently anyone can move into legal tech. Technology is used across board, right? So what would be, the last, words of wisdom, per se, that you leave for them before we round up today?
I would say have a global mindset. Have a large mindset that embraces endless opportunities. What this does for you is that it enables you confidently position yourself to be a value adder. I think because, many times the problem comes from the mindset. I don't know if you found this to be true, but for me,
True.
found that when I interact with people, the problem is from the mindset. Adjust your mindset. Come into who you are. Irrespective of role title, the fact that you're shifting or changing ground, come into who you are and demonstrate that to anybody. You'll definitely be able to grasp all the opportunities that come your way.
Yes, this is so true. And I agree with you. And like you said, what I've come across is the mindset. Because the truth is, we've seen people who, have the experience. They're highly, educated. They have, certifications and degrees, but they don't even see themselves valuable enough to apply for a role because they see a job title and they're so scared, oh, I can't do this. I can't apply for a manager role. I can't apply for a senior analyst role. I can't apply for a compliance manager role. Well, I don't know what do they do. I've never worked in the bank or in financial services. They start already self-sabotaging, saying I can't do this instead of saying I can. I have the qualities, I have what it takes. And then if there's anything else I need to learn on the job, I will learn it because I'm teachable, I'm adaptable, I'm flexible. Right? I continuously improve myself. I learn on the go, right? So they're already self-sabotaging and not allowing and giving themselves the opportunity to soar, to grow, to learn, and that's what you've done for yourself. You're giving yourself that opportunity to, to transition into something that you're enjoying, that that you love, and a lot of people are learning from you today. And and I hope that everyone who's joined in today and who's going to watch this replay is going to, take a few things from what Dami has shared with us. Thank you so much for coming, on the fireside chat with Enor. I really, really enjoyed this. This past hour has been amazing, a lot of learning. So thank you so much. And everyone who's joined us, thank you from Dami and I. Have a wonderful rest of your evening. Bye for now.
Bye.
Bye. Bye, Lio. Thank you.